Christy Taylor here with Tyler from The Head and the Heart, and we're backstage, aren't we?
We are here at the Marquee.
What have you been up to all day since you've been hanging out in Tempe? What have you seen?
Yeah, just kind of walked around. Is it the river there?
Yeah.
Just walked around, and then pretty much have done sound check here and made sure everything's good to go for the show.
Nice. Well, you're going to be playing the Marquee in Tempe tonight. When you're getting ready to play the show, what happens? What goes down? What does The Head and the Heart do?
Lots of stretching, some jumping jacks, and then tequila shots.
Really, with the tequila?
Oh yeah,
We should do those after this interview.
for sure.
I'm into it. So how long have The Head and the Heart been a band making music?
Since 2009, so it's been, like September 2009. It's been almost 8 years now.
Gotcha.
It's insane to think about.
And you're on your third album now,
Third
Signs of
album.
Light. This
Yep.
is the tour for that album.
Yep.
And was it intentional, right, that Signs of Light is actually a lighter album than your previous albums?
I mean, just looking at what it took to make this record, I would say it was totally a coincidence that it turned out to be a very light record. I think we went through a lot of heavy stuff just making the record personally, It very much was like a Rumors, Fleetwood Mac story, a little less dark, but like still in that vein. So the fact that it came out this way, it was just random and it worked out.
Well, you kind of tweaked your sound a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but it was never like intentional. So everything we do is always just exactly who we are in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Every piece of music that we write is literally just it's just a kind of honest representation of who we are as people. So nothing's ever like tweaked or it's all organic.
So there was no intention going into it to make music that would sort of cross genres and formats and expose you to a bigger audience.
No, we've been listening to a lot of different stuff though. I think the influences on this record were a bit broader, and a lot of us had started listening to more pop music and more hip hop music as well. So there's a lot of like Kendrick Lamar influence, even if you can't tell. Like there's some of that, in our mindset, in the way we were approaching rhythms. And I'm a drummer, so it was definitely kind of in how I was viewing the drums for this record.
Who else would you say? What other music were you influenced by other than Kendrick?
Lots of old Fleetwood Mac, like real kind of like the 70s Tango in the Night and Rumors. And then even Taylor Swift, like the new like 1989. It's inescapable and it's so massive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how now pop culture, on the internet, it's everywhere you look, and you can pretty much hear songs everywhere,
right.
On Facebook, in a grocery store, wherever you may be. So these little pop songs are like infiltrating your brain.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I let it happen. I like took the wall down of like, I'm too cool for that, and just, I accepted that they were great songs, and that kind of influenced how I viewed, how a lot of us viewed coming into this record writing process.
Sure, and she's a really talented songwriter.
Yeah, for sure.
People want to say what they want to say about her.
No, she's amazing. Yeah.
A lot of musicians have actually been mentioning Kendrick and Taylor lately. You're playing Coachella this weekend with Kendrick, right?
Yeah, I think he's Friday night. We play Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're playing on the main stage. Lady Gaga's headlining that night, so we're on the same stage as Lady Gaga, Bon Iver, and a bunch of other amazing musicians.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna all go see Kendrick.
Okay, cool. So when are you getting into the desert over there?
Well, tomorrow we're actually playing a show at Pappy and Harriet's, which is in Joshua Tree. And it's kind of like this little Western dive bar. It's like
it's
an
in
amazing,
the old Western town, right?
Yeah, Pioneer Town.
Yes.
And it's in this amazing little dive bar, and they always do Coachella sideshows.
Right.
So we're really looking forward to that. I saw like Girls and Yuck there a couple years ago, and it was an amazing show. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. So what's your expectation of Coachella this year?
I think I'm going in with no expectations, honestly.
Okay.
Like sometimes I can go into these festivals and feel anxious or nervous or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I'm just trying to be as zen as possible about the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that the first single off the latest album has reached such a broad audience? It's reached millions more people than your previous two albums did.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels like natural growth for us.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like what we've always been kind of building up towards. I think we didn't want to make it such a quick rise, maybe.
Yeah.
On those first two records, we maybe we're deliberately kind of like growing into who we are as a band.
Yeah.
And now on this record, I feel like we finally kind of have captured something, and you know, in our growth and what we've become. So
Yeah.
it
And
feels
we're
like the right
playing-
time.
We're playing All We Ever Knew
Oh, thank
on
you.
the radio all the time.
That's
People
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
The chorus is just so catchy. How
Yeah.
do you guys come up with that structure? Was it you work on the drums first, or how does you put that together?
Drums are usually kind of one of the later things to be added. I kind of view the drums as like a textural element, where it may not be like the main part of the songwriting, but it adds layers to it. John and Charity and Josiah, they usually come up with random parts, random verses, random choruses, and then, you know, we'll kind of all together as a band piece it together and help arrange it. And John had just had like a really weird day off in Marfa, Texas, and, you know, I think he was like breaking up with his girlfriend, and there was this whole, you know, it was just the mood that he was in when he wrote that chorus. And I think it has such a universal appeal now to me, you know, when I hear it, like, time to wake up from this, you know, like let's be better people.
Well, now that you're reaching a bigger audience, how would you describe your sound? Because some people, because there's strings in the Head and the Heart sound, right? They say that you're folk. Do you identify with that?
I mean, I'm sure we pull from a lot of different things. So, I mean, I view it as folk, I view it as rock, I view it as pop. You know, and in some songs there are like some jazz undercurrents. We pull weird influences out whenever, you know, we need to. So it's a mixture of a lot of stuff, but if people want to call it folk, I have no problem with that.
That's cool. Well, it's really awesome, the new album, especially things in the world have gotten a little bit dark, that you sort of have an album that emotionally lifts people up. It was kind of like the perfect storm that you guys created this album.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, it's not intentional. It's this organic process that we've created over 3 records, and that has led us to this album. But I think Charity was talking to Mavis Staples from the Staples Singers, who she wrote a song for Mavis's last record, and, you know, they were talking about all the negativity in the world and how Mavis wanted to bring something bright and positive and something that would be uplifting in these like weird, chaotic, confusing times. And I think, you know, that kind of seeped into what we were doing as well. Hold everything together and like become tighter as a community. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a really great piece of musical art, I think I would put it that way. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
And excited for you to go to Coachella 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, we're
Are you
stoked.
Just hanging out in Palm Desert between the 2 shows?
Yeah, so everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Some people go home, but a lot of us are going to be just relaxing and, you know, exploring the desert and trying not to get into too much trouble.
Some of you live in Los Angeles now, or are you still all in Washington?
We're all spread out across the country. So Kenny, our piano player, lives in L.A., which is where he's from. John's in San Francisco. I'm in Richmond, Virginia. Chris is in Nashville. And Charity and Maddie are in Seattle now.
So when you come together to make an album or practice for touring, where do you do that?
Well, making an album, you know, it's kind of like everybody, the songwriters, the 3 front people, they always kind of have ideas, and then they send them to us by email or whatever. So we kind of have like an idea of what we want to do in our minds before we all get back together. And on this one, we ended up in Stinson Beach, California, about an hour north of San Francisco. Had like an amazing 2 weeks in September of 2015. And that was really where this whole record kind of came together. And we're releasing like some of the B-sides and demo recordings from that, called the Stinson Beach Sessions, on April 22nd. It's like
you are?
For Record Store Day. Yeah, it's we're just putting out like 3,000 limited edition vinyls at local record stores all across the country. So
that's really cool. Do you plan to? This was the first time you worked with a producer, right, on this album?
Yeah.
Do you plan to continue down that road? I feel like it worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah. I think it's always something that you kind of approach when you have a little more writing done for the record. We don't know who we would work with yet, but I think it's always an idea now to kind of build on what we've been doing and see where it goes. And a producer, it's nice to have a coach in the room, you know, and split up fights.
Does that happen?
Oh, yeah.
You argue?
Well,
do you throw drumsticks, Tyler?
No, I don't throw. I used to. Confession time. No, I mean, it's always hard being such a democratic band. You know, there are 6 people in the band and everybody has a say. You know, it's not just one person's ideas. So it can get hectic and very tense, but we're always good at diffusing it, and we're family at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it feels like you were really ready to do this on the third album. Some bands come out first album, they
Right.
get it, then the software album tanks
Yeah.
because they couldn't understand what they did to get it right.
Exactly, yeah.
You feel like it's a better path, right, to take the slow build to the success that you've been finding?
Yeah, and I mean, we want to be a band that's around for 30 or 40 years. I want to be the Rolling Stones, when we're
Good goal.
when we're that old. So, I think our trajectory, our idea is just to do this at our speed, do this at our tempo, so that we can have such a long career and not burn out or fade away into some obscurity. We're always trying to elevate what we do, and I think it takes time to make that work well.
Perfect. Well, congratulations on all the success
Thank you
thus
so
far.
much. Yeah.
Excited to see you play the Marquee tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Tyler, from the Head and the Heart.